think I need like a live sign to hang out there.
Yeah, you need one of those
like
signs
a do
that
not
says
disturb
on air.
on air.
On air. Hang it right outside the door there. Yeah, you'd be perfect.
And Gabe texted me the question again. Oh boy. Hopefully that's not how this whole thing is gonna go.
Hopefully not.
Okay. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Four Honors Podcast, where a friend and I get together and we talk about 4 random topics in the next hour for your enjoyment. As you may have noticed, I have a new friend with me.
Woohoo!
Cody.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah?
Very excited, yeah.
Nervous?
A little nervous, but I think I'm gonna pull through, so
Okay.
we'll be good. We'll be all set.
Hour.
I'm ready. I'm locked in. If I had a seatbelt, I'd be buckled up right now.
Yeah, we don't provide that. We're not that safe. Okay, so before we start though, I've started this new thing since last episode.
Okay.
Okay? Doesn't really have to deal much with you. You don't really have to do anything.
Okay.
But it's just a friendly reminder to everyone that's watching or listening, okay?
Ready.
So, typically, and I'll ask you this, see if you know.
Okay.
Typically, if you're watching a video on YouTube or someone is listening to a podcast, what are the main things that they tell them to do?
You need to like.
Yep.
Subscribe.
Yep.
Comment below some thoughts.
Yep. One more.
One more.
One more.
I don't know. Share this video.
Yes!
Woo-hoo!
Good job. You won a prize of nothing.
That should have been where you brought the seatbelt in and you could buckle me up.
You're ready to go. Okay, well, good job. You reminded them that.
Yes. I feel better now.
Feel better?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Feel better.
So, here we go. First topic. Of course, with every new guest, I always ask them this one, and this is the very first topic that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you? What do you do? What do you like? What are your interests? How do you know me? How do I know you?
A lot of fun stuff there. So I'm Cody. I have known Tyler since pretty well. I'd say since definitely high school. Mm-hmm. I think we knew each other through high school. Like we knew we existed, mm-hmm. but we never really hung out or talked.
Yeah.
And I went to high school with you. And it wasn't really until afterwards that we graduated that we mm-hmm. really kind of hung out. And like you said, you kind of just came out of nowhere, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like one day you were just like hanging out with us, and it was like, oh, so Tyler's our friend now, I guess. And I mean, we've been good friends since I got out of high school like 2 years ago, and just really good friend, you know. But more about me, graduated in 2016. Mm-hmm. I was going to college, wasn't really feeling it. I was going for nursing.
Yeah.
It really just didn't speak to me, so I dropped out. I've just been kind of jumping around doing kind of whatever. Yeah. Right now I'm working at a gas station, so that's
exciting times.
Oh yeah, it's definitely some exciting times. But, I mean, I like it. I definitely, I just like working with people.
Yeah.
You know, so I worked at, grocery stores. A lot of just people interaction, you know. Mm-hmm. I like making people smile, making people laugh. That kind of goes along into, my interests and hobbies and stuff. You know, I'm kind of like a jokester, you know. Mm-hmm. Just like messing with people, joking around. I play a lot of video games, you know. I had an original Xbox. I worked my way through 360. I have my Xbox One now. Got a 3DS. I've PSP. I've been there, done all that. Mm-hmm. But really, I just really like hanging out with my friends, you know.
Yeah.
I would even say that I'm closer with most of my friends than with my family, even.
Yeah.
Because you guys have just our little group of friends have just been there for all of us, you know, and we. When we needed people to talk to, you know. Mm-hmm. That's pretty well most. I mean, That's a lot about me. Is there anything that you think I should specify here?
Let's see here. Nothing to specify, but I do have 2 questions.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay,
Locked
ready?
and loaded. Yeah.
First question, favorite game.
Ooh.
So like currently,
Okay.
and also kind of like if you have an all-time favorite, like from the older consoles.
Okay.
There's something that speaks to you.
Yeah, definitely. I've always been a fan of, free roaming, like RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't discover Fallout 3 until I got my 360. I couldn't tell you how many hours I've dumped into Fallout 3. It has got to be at least hundreds, if not hundreds. I mean, massive amounts of hours in Fallout 3. There's just something that catches to me. Like just the expansiveness and the ability to just go off and do whatever you want. So I was at Fallout 3 New Vegas, Fallout 4 even. I was with Skyrim. Played that for a long time, even Oblivion before Skyrim.
Yeah.
So those were kind of my old favorites. A lot Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Really great game series. I would say, I mean, that's kind of like my old. It's still my favorite games, but I've kind of like moved into more like online only games. Actually,
Okay.
surprisingly,
Really?
yeah. I used to absolutely detest them.
Yeah.
I tried to play the first Destiny, and it just was not my thing. Recently though, I started playing Overwatch on the Xbox, and it is a blast.
Great
Oh
game.
yeah. And so I've just been learning, like I have a few friends that have an Xbox with me, and we've just been like we just have a blast,
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to just get on there and just play online and really just have fun.
Yeah.
You can be in a party with friends when you're playing like Skyrim and Fallout. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Gotcha.
And so I've just been really enjoying like Overwatch. Got Sea of Thieves. Haven't played it yet, so I can't test to it. But I'm hoping that's gonna be a fun one too.
How many people do you have for that? Because it's typically like 4 people.
Typically
Wanna create for that
4.
one?
Yeah. I have 2 really good friends that I almost always play with like every day, and there's a few people that'll rotate in every once in a while when they're on. But I mean, it's most of my time when I'm not on work is online playing with friends and stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's kind of the new thing that I've started going into.
Yeah. See, I think that's like a big key thing is the fact of like having that group of friends to play with. Because if you're playing just typical online, it's annoying because you have like 10-year-olds yelling at you.
Oh yeah, and everyone experiences that. I assure you.
Like that's the one thing that like turns me off to online gaming.
That was always my problem. Like when I was back trying to play Destiny, just the lack of communication always just it killed me. But yeah, it's definitely a lot better when you have friends that you can talk to and be like, oh hey, there's somebody over there, and you know they'll go and help you, and they won't just be like whatever and blow you off. So
yeah, I mean, and then you have other stuff that you can talk about too while playing the game that doesn't have to relate to the game because you actually know them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, so that definitely helps.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. So, wow. See, typically I don't do online. I do Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
I need to play more of that because that's a good one.
It's fun.
It's a lot of
addicting.
Fun.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Typically I stray away from online. I do have the original Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing was it wasn't the online thing that annoyed me. It was the fact that I got into their alpha gameplay.
Yeah.
And then I got code for their beta. And so between those two, I probably played maybe 10 hours between those two.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, I like this game. I'm going to pre-order it.
Mm-hmm.
So I pre-ordered the game, and I played the actual game itself once I got it for maybe 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I get the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is fun. And then, like, I haven't touched it
yeah.
since then. And, of course, the second one's out now. And
right.
And it's been out for a while.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, that was my, like, weird experience with Destiny.
It's very strange, because it's just the fact that the thing that always took me off of online, like you said, is just like the people you can play against that are like hostile towards you. You know, it's a big turnoff.
Yeah.
And now there's been the whole thing about, you know, pay to play and pay to win, loot boxes, all that sort of deal.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I think that's the other thing people are kind of turned away by. And I mean, obviously, you know, everyone has their own opinions on that sort of stuff, but that's why I was kind of drawn towards Destiny Overwatch is because, you know, the only thing you know, for people that don't know, the only thing, there's loot boxes, but you get them from leveling up, and the only thing it does is it just gives you skins. I mean, it's not going to change the gameplay. It doesn't affect the gameplay
exactly.
At all. Yeah. And I think that's the key that companies should look towards is to making sure that you're not losing gameplay if you're not spending a bunch of money extra into the game, you know?
Yeah.
And that was just the thing that really attracted me to Overwatch, I think. Yeah.
I think they definitely do it right there. Another one that I think does it right is like PUBG. I don't know if you ever...
I've dabbled in PUBG.
Yeah. Like, they do it right, too, because it doesn't affect gameplay. Once it affects the gameplay, then it's like...
I think that's where you really run into issues, you know? For people, I mean, especially people that are younger, you know, they don't have jobs. I mean, some of them don't... The people that don't have jobs and don't have a steady income, I mean, they can't put that money. Yeah. They can't put that money in. I mean, it's, what, like $2 here, $2 there? Yeah. But, I mean, that adds up. Yeah. You know, and before you realize you're forking in $20, $40, $60, and they just don't have the money. Yeah. And so it really, like, separates the people into two groups. It's the people that either refuse to or can't, and the people that'll spend any amount of money to be number one. Yeah, exactly. And I think gaming companies shouldn't be dividing their communities like that, you know.
Well, did you hear now, was it ESRB? They're the ones that do the video game ratings and stuff like that. Did you hear that they're now making it so it's a requirement to put on the back of the game that there's microtransactions or stuff to be bought?
No, I didn't see that.
Now?
No.
Yeah.
That's a great idea though. Because if you didn't need to tell somebody that and they went out and bought a new game, and I mean they wouldn't know. Yeah. You know, unless they had seen something otherwise, but it's just it's sneaky. Yeah. And I mean, obviously they're not like, it tricks people, you know? I mean, it's not like, I don't know. It's just silly to me.
Yeah. I mean, you already paid for the game and now they want you to throw in X amount.
And I think a lot of people agree with not having microtransactions in your game. Yeah. And so, I mean, I've never heard, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never heard a valid argument for microtransactions except for, you know, that company's going to be getting more money. I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just you don't meet a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I'm okay with that." It's just
that's true.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I don't think that there is any other argument for it because that's typically what they are.
It's all it is you know, they want more money, and if people are willing to pay for it, they'll pay for it, and you know that's how they get you.
I mean, it's definitely a big difference between microtransactions and like DLC that extends the gameplay or the story to it. Yeah. So I mean, I always see microtransactions as being like a grab.
It's a money grab,
like,
exactly.
Like it's nothing else. Exactly. And the fact that when it's games that you spend $20 and you might get this. Then that's even more a money grab, which like mobile games, not even like console games, and then now console games are hitting harder. I feel like it kind of started with mobile games because like Candy Crush and stuff. Like,
absolutely.
Spend, get more lives, and you're like,
definitely.
Okay. I was never that. I was like, no. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not paying you.
Yeah, I played Clash of Clans for a little while, and even then, they hadn't like they never suckered me into to do that. Yeah. But I mean, they're tempting you at every turn they possibly can to be like, ooh, if you want to be a little quicker there, you just spend this little $2 there, you know. And like I said, I mean it adds up, you know. And before you know it, you're $40 in, and you're like, well, I got my got my gold 2 hours faster, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think another one, just kind of going with like online play, and we've talked about this before, is the new Monster Hunter game. Like,
Nice.
not only games that are online, but games that are online and they're a grind.
Yeah.
So, like, Destiny definitely hits it, and then now Monster Hunter. Like, I'm 100% interested in Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds great, but when we were talking to Matthew, because I was talking to him, and he's like, I'm like, yeah, I got into the beta and I've played it or whatever, and really, the best way that I can describe it is you pick a quest, you chase a monster, you hit it a few times, it runs away, you run after it, you hit it some more times.
That's pretty.
And then you get everything from it. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, that's pretty much the game. I'm like, yeah. So I mean, then I'm just sitting. Like, I could do so much more with that time.
Right. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Like, yeah, it's a fun game. Like, I've played it, but it's like I can do so much more with that time.
Right. Yeah.
And do other things, like, I don't know, read a book, do a podcast.
Exactly. There's so many more things you can do. Like go outside and have fun. Hang out with friends.
Yeah.
That was, now that you bring that up, that was another thing that really like made me lean more towards single player oriented games. Is that Destiny, the first Destiny, it was a bit of a grind fest.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you really had to put the hours in, and I mean, not that there's anything fundamentally wrong with that. If you have the time and you want to do it, I mean, more than welcome to. But it's people that like don't have the time. Yeah. That, I mean, again, it's just kind of like dividing the community. You've got all these people that are, I mean, they're high level. They've played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, and then there's you who can't put the time in, and it's just I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, like, you're with a group for a long time, so you're all, like, the same level, and then you can't make it one night.
Yeah.
And everyone else, and you come back, and they're, like, double the level.
Exactly.
And you're like, well, guys, I can't play with you anymore.
Exactly, yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's definitely when it, like, impacts the gameplay, and it's like, what do you do now?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me is the fact that, like, I could be doing so many other things.
Exactly, and... sorry, yeah.
I mean, it's just the fact that, like, I could be doing so many other things, and the fact that, yeah, it looks like fun. It would be fun to play with, like, friends and stuff, but if you're not consistent, if you don't have all the time in the world...
Well, and I don't think anyone should dedicate that much time to one game. There's a lot of games out there.
Yeah.
And I think it's best, I mean, you should spend some time, enjoy the game, see the game, get all of the aspects of it. But at the same time, once you've seen the game and you've been there, done that, I mean, move on. Yeah. There's so many great games out there. If you pour that much time into one game, you're gonna miss out on a lot. And it's easy to fall behind like that.
Yeah. I think, for me, when I play a game, I play it for the story.
Same.
That's why I play it, because I like to hear the story.
Right.
That whoever is trying to, like, tell me, oh, this is what happens with this character, and this is how. So yeah, once I get past the story, then I don't really touch... It's rare for me to touch the game anymore. So that's the biggest proponent to me, because then also the story has a definitive end. Well,
right, yeah. Like, and that's partly why I loved Fallout, because there's so much lore, there's so much... There's just so much digging you can do. I mean, you can just go out and wander randomly and find this place that has its own little story, and you wouldn't know that unless you had randomly, like, stumbled upon it.
Well, here's the thing. So, not the biggest fan of Fallout.
Okay, yeah.
Much more of a Skyrim person.
Okay, yeah.
So, like, when the Skyrim game originally came out for the 360, I played up until the point where you were, like, as soon as you get away from being executed and stuff, and then you end up just in the world. Like, the world just opens up.
Yeah, yeah.
I literally took off for, what was it? Winterhold?
Riverwood?
The Wizard College.
Oh, Winterhold, yeah.
Winterhold? Yeah. So I literally took off from there as soon as it let me go.
Yeah.
And so, like, I never got to the point of the game where, and I know it's early beginning, but I never got to the point of the game where they give you a companion. And they're like, oh, here, they'll follow you now. never got to that point because I immediately took off in one direction.
Right, and that was just the best part about single player games is, you know, you can make it's your own story.
Yeah.
You know, you can go off and do whatever you want, and I mean they'll try to guide you in a way, but
Yeah.
you can just go off and you can do whatever you want, and I think that's the beauty of games like Skyrim and Fallout and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
And then I know there was, I think it was Sean Mack, that we were talking about the game, and for whatever reason, I don't know what he did, like if he just like took off right away, but he never realized that you could use the words that you read from the walls.
Oh, really? Like
yeah,
the
like
shouts
he
and stuff?
never realized why you would want to kill the dragon to gain its power.
That's pretty funny.
And use the shouts until I told him about it. I'm like, oh yeah, if you do this, then you can use it towards the word. And then he's like, wait, you can do that? I'm like, yeah.
That's
because he's like, this is really hard. I don't know how to get past it. I'm like, have you been doing this? He's like, no, you can do that. I'm like, yeah. Like,
that's pretty good. Yeah.
So
and,
yeah, that's good. But yeah. So I mean, let's see here. So when it comes to video games and stuff like that, do you think that, because obviously Twitch is big too now, and it's just, for the longest time I never understood Twitch, why you'd want to sit there and watch someone else play a game, but then I kind of realized you want to sit there and watch someone else play a game because then you can devote your time to something else, but you can also feel like before it was big online games, like you're there with a group of friends and just kind of hanging out and doing stuff. Do you think that now that online games have been around for the longest time, that it kind of gives you that same sense of hanging out with your friends? Because obviously there's voice chat and everything with it. So I mean, is that why you think online games are big, is because you don't have to be in the same house to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. You know, there's definitely an obvious benefit of, like I said earlier, you know, if you're just playing, for example, Skyrim.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be in a party playing with, and other people are playing Skyrim, but it's not the same. You know, you're not seeing the same things, and you're experiencing a different game. Yeah. Basically. Yeah. I think the nice thing about online, you know, like you said, you don't all have to be there. Yeah. You know, I mean, you can be there in the party, and you're all experiencing, for the most part, the same game. Yeah. You know, you're seeing the same things, you're fighting the same people, and I think that has obvious benefits there. But I think the other half, that I think like really gave online games kind of a role, is that you can meet so many people. Yeah. You know, I mean, even if they're on the opponent's team, you know, maybe it started off as they like sent you a message because they thought you were bad, and you're like, oh, come on, fight me yourself then. And then, you know, and it kind of like blossomed into like a friendship. Yeah. I think that's, and I mean, even that way, you can meet people from, I mean, vast majorities of the world. Yeah. And so it just kind of like, I feel like it brings you together in kind of like a competitive sense. Yeah. And I mean, I know for myself, I've met like 10 or 15 people that I would consider are, you know, friends. Yeah. Online, just playing online games. And I mean, most of them were opponents at one point, and you just kind of, you can kind of relate. Like, you just start to relate, like, oh, that guy on that opponent team is, like, really annoying me. And they're like, oh, yeah, me too. And you just kind of, like, start making these little connections, and then before you know it, you guys are, like, working together and, you know, like, playing online games together. And it's just kind of, like, its own little, like, teamwork thing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. But, yeah, definitely. I think that's definitely part of it, too. Yeah. And, like, see, I was the opposite of you, you know. When I was a kid, I remember watching like walkthroughs of games. Yeah. Games that I didn't own, games that I probably was assuming that I would never own.
Yeah.
And some of them I never did buy. And the benefit, or like the reason I always did, was just because if I couldn't like get the game,
yeah,
it's odd to experience it like you're experiencing it with them.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I mean, I think there's a difference between when people are like talking through walkthroughs too.
Yeah.
And they're like actively communicating with the community, or if they're just playing the game and it's dead silent.
Yeah.
I would always watch the dead silent ones because it's kind of like it's kind of like I'm playing the game. That was always like, yeah, it was very strange, but I always like something always just, it felt like it was me experiencing that. You know, I remember watching walkthroughs of like Halo Reach. There was the first Alan Wake. It was just games that I'm like, I probably won't ever buy this game, but I'm gonna. It's like I did buy it, kind of.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's how I always took it, and I mean, since then I've kind of drifted away because, you know, I got a job, you know, I make money, I can buy the games that I wanted to see people play. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there was just something that always oddly like drawed me towards walkthroughs. And I think what you said partly is that, you know, it saves time because you don't have to go play the game, you know.
Yeah.
I can even remember playing a game and watching a walkthrough of a completely different game. And I don't know, it was just, so it kind of is like, I always just thought of it as a way like I was playing the game. Yeah. But I wasn't playing the game, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think there's something there. I don't know. Yeah.
See, because still to this day it annoys me watching like a Twitch stream or a video.
Really?
And there is no one, like there's no face cam or anything. Like I find that as the most annoying thing ever.
Yeah.
Like I want that like connection to the person, whoever it is. I think that's what it is. Like it's, I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Like I'll click on something and it'll just be the gameplay and maybe they'll talk, but you still can't see them. I'll be like, nah, I'm out.
That's the deal breaker.
Yeah, that's the deal breaker for me.
And like I said, I've kind of like drifted away from like walkthroughs, obviously, since I can buy my own games now. Yeah. But even when I like get on Twitch,
yeah,
for some reason it's oddly nice, opposite from you, of just watching somebody playing the game, no face camera, and them not talking. Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know if there's like, if that was just me or if, I mean, comment below what you guys think about that, but that was always just, it had some odd like attraction to me. And I mean, I never like would not watch a video if someone was talking, or like if there was a face cam, like I wouldn't mind, but it just like, it took me out of the experience.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, oh, well, I'm not playing that game because this guy right there that's talking and I can see him is playing the game. Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I'm interested to see what people say.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I think that's topic 1.
Topic 1 down.
Topic 1 down. Good job. On to topic 2. Let's see here. Topic 2. We're going to continue video games.
Okay.
Just see. And you brought this up.
I did.
The whole video game and violence relation and stuff like that.
No.
So, do you want to intro it? Like, what were you thinking when you brought this topic to the table?
I brought this up, I think yesterday, or was it this morning?
This morning.
I brought this up because, you know, I feel like there's two very, very different sides to this, I would say, argument.
Yeah.
And I never really thought that people felt the other way that I don't feel, which I will explain here. And so I was always kind of intrigued. So, you know, you'll see on social media and whatnot that, you know, with all the violence or like the violent acts, you know, like shootings and everything like that some of them, and most famously Columbine, people said that the people committing these acts of violence were influenced in a negative way through the video games that they played. You know, and you know, coming from my personal experience, you know, like I said, I had an original Xbox. I played through the 360 and all that. I mean, I've played pretty well most every console from Xbox onward. Yeah. And I've played my share of violent video games. Yeah. You know, one of the most famous, I would say famously violent video games, Grand Theft Auto the series in general, not just 5. Yeah. I mean, I own it and I've played it, and I have never once thought that I should go out and do something like that in real life. Yeah. You know, and so when people say that they think that he could have been I'm just like, I'm baffled. Yeah. Because just to me there's just no connection there. Yeah. And I mean, I have my own theory on like what that is, and I'll bring that up, but I mean, I think I've played my fair share of violent video games, you know, and if I could have been influenced, I don't think I was. I mean, I'm generally a pretty nice person. Yeah. And I get along well with others, and I mean, I don't like fight with anyone. I've never gotten like a physical altercation. And so I'm just so confused. But I think, see, and I mean, this is just my opinion, you know. Okay. I think it's just how people are raised. Yeah. You know, I think that has a really big effect on, like, you know, if people grow up playing violent video games, then I don't think that necessarily means they're going to be violent people. You know, there's plenty of other, like, possibilities, you know. And I think most of it comes from, I would say, lack of parenting. Okay. As an opinion, you know, because I mean, I don't know. I was raised like, you know, be nice, hold doors open for people, say thank you. Yeah. And I've never once, like, I don't know how you feel on this. Yeah. But I've never once, like, thought that I needed to go out and, like, do that, you know? Yeah. Something as heinous as that. You know?
Okay, so pretty much I think we're on the same page here. Mm-hmm. Because, so have I. I've since, like, used to have Sega Genesis, then a PlayStation, then Xbox, then 360, then Gabe had an Xbox One, I had a PS3 for a bit, then PS4, I've had 3DS, Vita, all that stuff. Yep. I think a lot of it is, I don't know if I'd call it parenting or lack of parenting. I would say maybe moral standing is more accurate of a term to use. Just because, obviously if you grow up in violence or whatever is all you know, then obviously that's all you know, and that's what you're gonna do. You know, if you grow up and you're raised on saying thank you, holding a door open for someone, that sort of thing, obviously that's what you're more likely to do. Not to say that no one can switch over or anything like that. You know,
that's true. Yeah.
Just saying, out of the realm of possibilities, you're more likely to do whatever it is that the way you're grown up. I have a couple things on this that, as you're talking, I was thinking about. Okay. First off, one of the things is the fact of recently, and I don't know if you heard about this or whatever, but President Trump, great president, he ended up calling out video games for being violent about a couple weeks ago. Maybe a month. Maybe it was a month ago. Okay. And so that he wanted to sit down with, like, the head of the board of directors for video games and stuff like that. Talk with them. Now, he also had them put together a video reel. And I don't know if you've seen this, but I'll show it to you later. Okay. but he had someone put together a video reel of video games. The only thing is, of course, it was biased so that it would be in his favor.
Right. Okay.
And it was a video reel of video games, of the most violent video games and the most violent parts possible. And it was like a couple minutes of just scene after scene after scene after scene after scene. Now, one of the things is, for me, is the fact that when that went out, and you can find it online anywhere, yes, that's a part of video games, but he took the most extreme parts and left out the majority of video games.
Gotcha.
So, like, for example, a couple of video games that are fantastic, like, all-time favorite. And it doesn't really have, there's really no violence to it, and, like, it's not, whatever. Like, he was focusing on violence to try to get his way, as people tend to do. Is, like, what about those games that tell amazing stories? What about, like, Journey?
That's true.
Did you ever play that?
I did, yeah.
Fantastic game. Played it once, deleted it, because I was like, I don't want to ruin the experience. Like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic story. My all-time favorite is Life is Strange. Another fantastic story. And so what he did was he showed parts that would benefit him and his side.
Right.
Now, he also claimed that there should be a rating system for video games for people to know, which then proves the fact that he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right.
So I think the biggest part is the fact that people are narrow-minded and only see what they want to see, and they don't actually delve in and do studies.
Yeah.
Now, there was a study that was done. I'm sure there's been multiple. But there was a study done on this exact topic. I don't know if you know about this, because I remember reading it. And it was about if violence in video games did affect someone's, like, neurological and emotional behavior. After going through a bunch of tests, they found out that it doesn't impact them at all. Like, not a single drop, not a single bit. And the fact of it actually ended up letting them have more of, like, a creative freedom in a way, which is something else that I was going to ask you about.
Yeah.
Is, do you think that instead of video games and violence in them affecting it in such a manner that it improves or increases the chances of someone being violent, do you think that video games is actually a way for people to not only express but also let out whatever their thoughts are, or I want to say, like, rage or emotion or anything like that, but I feel like video games are two things. It's a story, because everyone wants to tell a story pretty much, and it's an outlet. Not only an outlet for the people that created it, but the people that bought it and play it.
Absolutely,
and to a point where there's actually a charity and organization, I don't remember their name right now, but they, for children that are in hospitals, they provide video game consoles and games for them to play while they're in the hospital, just to, like, help them pass the time and feel more comfortable and more relaxed. And if it's such a bad thing, why would there be a charity to help with that?
Yeah. I agree 100% that I'm glad you brought that up, that video games are absolutely a way to channel, pent up, I would say emotions, pent up emotions. There's times where I'm feeling down, so I'm going to go play. I don't know if you know Slime Rancher.
Yeah.
That game just, like, it makes me happy. Like the little pink blobs running around.
I mean, like, the color, the noise, the look.
And if I'm feeling sad, I'm going to play Slime Rancher. Highly recommend, by the way. Fun game.
Yeah, so do I. 100%.
So, absolutely, it's a way to channel your energy, And if someone I mean, if people do have those thoughts, God forbid.
Yeah.
God forbid that they have those thoughts, and I mean, people do, sadly. But it's a way to channel it and not have to do it. Have to actually physically do it, I think.
Yeah.
And I have seen that charity where they go around to hospitals. You know, if games are so violent, then yeah, that charity shouldn't exist. You know.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, you're gonna get frustrated if you're playing video games.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone's been there. You know, you're frustrated. You're just having a bad day in general, and then something happens, and you're gonna get upset.
Yeah.
But that's life, you know?
Yeah.
Life isn't fair, you know, famously. Life isn't fair. You're gonna get mad sometimes, and you just have to deal with it. Yeah. I think is most of the problem is some people don't know how to deal with it. You know, in a day where we're kind of disconnecting from physical interactions, like not famously, but I would say like parent to like child relationships have kind of drifted, I think.
Yeah. People
don't know how to deal with emotions as well nowadays, I would say. And I think that's also part of why people, you know, if video games did influence them, I mean, if they play violent video games, I think that's just them trying to like vent their emotions through another medium. Yeah. You know, and I don't know. It's just, and you know the whole Donald Trump story there. You know, people are gonna twist their studies, and they're gonna twist their videos to their own motive. Yeah. And I mean, it happens all the time in anything you really do. So it doesn't surprise me. Yeah. No, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I'd say it doesn't surprise me, and I'm sure it won't be the last you hear of it. Yeah. But everyone, you just need to keep a open mind. You know, if someone claims that violent video games influence violent people, I just want them to play a video game. Yeah. I want to set them down, you know, okay, play a video game, you know. Yeah. You know, if they pick a violent one, maybe they'll see, okay, it's just venting, you know. Yeah. And then you can show them all the good sides of video games, you know. Because like you said, I mean, there's plenty of non-violent video games that are perfectly fine for kids and children in general. I don't know. That's really my take on it. I guess it just confused. I just don't understand. I guess coming from someone who has played video games for a long time. Yeah. I just find it hard to believe that they could try to pin that on video games.
Yeah. I think the fact that it's people that are saying these things, obviously they don't know what they're talking about, or majority of them, you can assume, haven't really played any video games beyond like Tetris. Right. Like, they just, you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
So, I mean, when Trump said, oh, we should have a rating system for video games.
Yeah, it's like...
that statement right there proves that he doesn't know anything about video games, because there's been a rating for video games for ever.
Quite a while, yeah.
Like, since they came out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think a lot of it is just educating people.
And just partly, I think people try to put answers where we don't know answers. Yeah. You know, people want an answer for everything. That's why there's conspiracy theories and all that sort of fun stuff. Yeah. People want to put answers to a problem that we don't know the answers, you know? Yeah. It's just...
That's just human nature.
Exactly. People don't like unknowns. Yeah. You know, and they could put any answer they want. They could say violent books influence violent people. Yeah. And I mean, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, you know? I think it's just people put... Yeah, I think it's mainly people putting answers where there are no answers. Yeah. or maybe we just don't understand it yet.
That's interesting. I never thought about that. There aren't really ratings for books.
No, not that I know,
You know,
of, at
like
least,
there's
yeah.
genres and categories, but there's no like
You can't
this
go and
book contains blah 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 blah.
right, yeah.
You know, like at least on movies and video games and stuff, there's a designated rating with strict rules and laws.
Right.
And it lists exactly why it's categorized as this.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with books, there is none.
I mean, unless you
Like,
know,
I never thought
unless
about
you
that.
know the book and you know what's in it. I mean, but at that point, it's already too late, and you already. I mean, unless
the
someone
book,
tells
right?
you, yeah.
Huh. I never thought about
See,
that.
there's people
That's-
just trying to put answers where there really are no answers. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You just blew my mind there, but okay. Wow. Topic 2. Done. On to topic 3.
Topic 3.
Okay. So, topic 3. Expectations. So, when I thought about this one, I was thinking mainly, are expectations good or are they harmful? Because, so here's the backstory.
Okay.
I was recently watching a video by Jenna Marbles on YouTube.
Okay.
And she was talking about expectations. How for her, she doesn't really have high expectations or hopes for whatever she does. But the reason why she doesn't do that is because if something she does takes off and it becomes fantastic, great. She enjoys it. Like, it's wonderful. 100%. Mm-hmm. If she has high expectations for something and say it's an epic failure, whatever it is you're doing.
Right.
Then you're all of a sudden devastated. So for her, the way she does things is she just kind of makes stuff, puts it out there, and doesn't really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on how people react, depends on obviously how she reacts.
Right.
Whereas for her, when she's going through things, she doesn't have high expectations because she doesn't want to that whole like crash and burn sort of scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess, what are your thoughts on expectations? Are they good? Are they bad? Do they not really matter? What's kind of the way that you think about them? I mean, what about not even just your own expectations, but what about people's expectations for other people? Okay. Because everyone has those.
Right, yeah.
Like, no matter who you are, how old you are, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what are your thoughts on expectations?
Let me start by saying, I think I have an interesting view on this.
Okay.
Because, for the most part, I would say as a blanket statement, people generally have expectations for themselves.
Yes.
You know, like, I want to graduate college. I want to do this, you know. I live a pretty laissez-faire life. I just go with the flow. I mean, honestly, I really don't I don't set expectations for myself.
Yeah.
Like you said, I have expectations for other people. But for myself, I mean, I kind of agree with Jenna. You know, I don't set bars high because if you don't succeed, I think it makes it even worse than if you would have just failed normally.
Yeah.
So expectations to me are a double-sided sword, you know? If you set the bar low and you break it, you know, that's great. You know, more power to you, and you're going to feel like you won the lottery. Maybe you did win the lottery.
Yeah.
You are going to feel great because you set that bar and you beat it. Mm-hmm. And I think humans have a competitive nature.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of fighting yourself, you know?
Yeah.
You're in like a race with yourself and you won. And you're like, you feel great. But like Jenna says, you know, if you set the bar too high, which I think a lot of people, I mean, not that a lot of people do, but there are definitely people that set the bar very high and have a very high expectation of themselves. And if you would not have a bar at all and you failed something, you know, that sucks, obviously. And you're not going to be happy and you're going to be bummed out. But it's going to be better than if you were like, I'm going to go to the moon someday. And you just never do, you know?
Yeah.
That's, I mean, because then you're losing that battle added to just the fact that you didn't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's why I don't set expectations. I just never have. I just don't.
Okay.
I don't feel like I just have a very carefree approach to life.
Okay.
You know, if I like died tomorrow, I would be okay because I just live every day like it's your last, you know?
Yeah.
And I've just always been like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not that I would recommend that either.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone has their own way of doing things. And if you want to set your bar high, I encourage you to.
Yeah.
You know, you need to do it like you need to set your bar to yourself. You know, what you think you should set your bar as, you know?
Yeah. And
when you break that bar, you're going to feel great. And,
yeah.
You know, if you don't, that's just life, you know, that things happen. As for expectations for other people, it's kind of the same approach. My expectation, I think there's just like, there's a natural bar.
Okay.
Of just courtesy. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing I ever expect out of friends. Just people I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, you're going into a restaurant. If someone holds a door open for you, they've passed my bar.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's just courteous. I think that's where my bar sits. And I think it's a natural bar.
Yeah.
And not that all people are courteous like that, but that's what my expectations for people are, you know, saying thank you, holding open a door for somebody. If someone's short like 5 cents, you just pull out a nickel and you say, here you go.
Yeah.
So, and it changes. I should say, first off, I'm single. So
okay.
So maybe this isn't the best reflection of myself, and I think you need to hold people with a closer relationship to a different standard. Okay. Because then you're kind of just, I mean, if you set the bar for like a partner at just like a stranger level, you just you settle for less than what you should, you know.
Okay.
And I'm one of those people that believes, you know, there's somebody out there for everybody, and it's a matter of time. When you meet them, you'll know it. You'll be meant to be, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it just depends, you know. And friends, I hold a little higher. You know, my friends' expectation, they should be there for you.
Yeah. If
you need them, and not that they can be there all the time, but if you know that they can be there, and you need them, they should be there. If they're not, then they shouldn't be your friends. Sorry to say. Don't mean to burst any bubbles, but that's my expectation for friends. And for relationships, it's kind of the same thing, you know. Mm-hmm. They should be there for you when you need them, and they might not always be there for you.
Yeah.
But if they can be, they should be.
Yeah.
And like I said, those are I would say low. I mean, it's not hard to be there for somebody.
Yeah. If
you really try and you really you really put some effort into it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think I'm setting the bar too high there, but, you know, I just don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's, the bar there is set pretty low. Like, not low in a bad sense, but low as in, like, achievable.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's some, I mean, just like the saying itself, like, aim for the moon, land amongst the stars, or shoot for the moon, land amongst the stars, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Of, like, that statement itself is have high expectations, but don't be disappointed if you don't hit it, but you land somewhere else. I think that's, in a sense, how I've always thought of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I don't have tremendously high expectations for anyone else.
Okay.
For myself, because the way I am is I like to do stuff so it looks good, is professional, like this whole thing. I mean, obviously,
the whole setup, yeah.
Obviously, I didn't have to do this whole setup. I could sit down on a couch.
We could have just, exactly. Yeah.
But the way I am, I like, if I do something, I want to do it right. I want to do it so it looks good.
Right.
So in a sense, I don't have tremendous high expectations for what it has to be. I just know what I want it to look like, and then I kind of find a way for me to get close to it.
You're kind of just aiming in that general...
Yeah.
Okay.
And then kind of whatever happens.
Yeah.
Go with the flow sort of situation.
Yeah.
But I'm not like, man, I need this podcast, for example, this video, to hit 20 million views in the next 2 months. Otherwise, I'm a catastrophic failure.
Right.
No, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make it look as good as I possibly can. I'm going to edit it so I like the way it looks.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm happy with it and I put it out there, I know I did everything in my power.
Yeah, exactly.
And now it's just kind of up to
people to, and people are going to take it in their own way,
Yeah, and if whatever way they take it, I'm fine.
And like you said, as long as you are happy with the work you've done, I think that's perfect, And like, even if you're like, oh, I really wanted to have a giant anchor hanging on the wall, and you just couldn't get one, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the critical part of expectations. You need to expect not to get some expectations done.
Yeah.
Or to maybe to hit a little lower than you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Expect the unexpected, as people would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know people that are definitely like, it has to hit the highest it possibly can.
Yeah.
And then if they don't hit it, they're absolutely devastated. I'm like, well, no offense, but you kind of set yourself up for failure.
Absolutely.
So the way I've always done it is I will do the best I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it lands.
No.
I'm not expecting to be the next whoever.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be whoever I am, whatever I can be, whatever I can do.
Mm-hmm.
So be it.
Right.
And we just let the cards play and fall as they do and see how it goes.
And I think you should always... I think part of expectations, is just apply yourself to the level that you think you should be applying yourself.
Yeah.
If you want to be if you want to you go out right now and you're like, I want to mow the whole yard, but realistically you're only going to get half the yard done or something.
Yeah.
Don't try don't settle for half the yard if you look and you're like, oh, I can get more done.
Yeah.
If you hit your bar lower, if you're passing your bar, don't stop.
Yeah.
If your expectation is passed, don't stop applying yourself.
Yeah. See, I think one of the biggest things here that so many people do is they compare themselves or their abilities to someone else that's been doing it for 10 years and knows exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Or have been at it and they're the biggest name in whatever it is. And they're they don't say, oh, I want to be like that, or I want to be as close as possible as that. They say, oh, what I'm currently doing isn't as good as what they're doing. But they compare themselves too much to someone that's at the top.
They're on different levels.
They're on completely different levels.
Absolutely.
The goal is to just set the goal at whatever level you currently are. And like what you said, if you pass it, keep going.
Yeah.
In a sense, I don't even like setting goals. I've never been a big fan of setting goals, just because I don't need the motivation of here's the end goal for me to go do something.
Yeah, and that's just part of applying yourself. Yeah, if you can, like like you said, people are different. You know, you shouldn't base an expectation off of somebody else because everybody's different. You know, if like you just like I can't go and try to be like I'm going to perform brain surgery tomorrow because that brain surgeon did it.
Yeah.
I'm not a brain surgeon, you know?
Yeah.
You can't apply yourself or like you can't set an expectation for two completely different people. I think that's like with the celebrity thing. Mm-hmm. I think that's a big part of it. And
I think another big thing about that when you're focusing on like the high, like top tier people is the fact that you don't look at their journey that they did to get there.
You have to start somewhere. Yeah.
Exactly. So like obviously they weren't like, "Oh, I'm hitting the top of this right now."
Yeah.
They're like, "Let's do this. Consider it a win. Keep going." And that's I think the biggest mistake that people do is they don't see the journey. They just see that end goal and compare themselves to that end goal.
Yeah.
And are like, "Oh, clearly I'm not doing what I should be doing." Yeah. When they should be like, "Okay, let's get this done today. Okay, we did that. Let's get this done in 2 weeks. Okay, we did that." Like, set a bunch of tiny goals.
Small goals. Yeah, exactly.
To lead you to your end goal.
Yeah.
If you're one to set goals.
Exactly. Yeah, that definitely. Yeah, I agree. 100%. And I think another thing that influences expectations is how hard you are on yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, you should find good in any any attempt at an expectation. So like I said earlier, like mowing the grass.
Yeah.
Your bar is halfway. You're gonna get the half the yard done, and you know it. You only get like 3/4 of the way. You shouldn't beat yourself up and be like, "Oh man, I'm so bad." You should always try to find the good. Mm-hmm. Like you should be like, "Well, you know what? I have 3/4 done.
Yeah.
So the next time I go, I already have 3/4 of it done."
Yeah.
And I think that's another part of just different people are harder on themselves than they really should be. There's good in any situation, whether it be some minute detail that in the long run might not seem like it means anything, but it's just like people say, it's the small things that matter.
Yeah.
And I think they'll add up and they'll help you even beat those expectations or have more you'll apply yourself more.
Yeah.
You'll want to go even harder at that expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the big thing is you can have expectations for yourself and others. Just don't set them outrageous and then be upset you don't hit it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like just be realistic, I think, is my thing.
See, I don't even like saying that.
Oh, really?
Like, I don't even like saying be realistic because being realistic for some people means that they don't think that they're ever gonna get wherever.
That's true. Yeah.
So for me, it's more of don't be disappointed where you're at now compared to everyone else's journey.
Okay. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Like, be as crazy as you want to be. Like, set your goal as crazy as you want it to be. Your expectation as high as you want it to be. But don't make that your immediate.
Right. Yeah, like you said, make little goals along the way.
Yeah. Make little goals, little expectations, and allow that expectation to grow as you grow.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I think that's my take on expectations.
Yeah.
They're not harmful, but they're also not the most beneficial depending on how you play them out.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, okay. Last topic. Are you ready for this?
Last topic. Let's do this.
Final topic. And you brought this one up too, which is when kids should get phones.
Ah, yes.
So,
yes.
Do you want to elaborate more?
I would.
On this since you brought it up.
I would. So I guess it's kind of a personal experience. You know, I mean, I'm only 19. I graduated what, 2 years ago. Okay, do some quick math there. I'm not that old. You know, I don't have that long of a like view on this.
Yeah.
But what little I have a pretty strong opinion for.
Okay.
So, I was in middle school when I got my first phone.
Okay.
And it was an LG Cosmos. It was a little slidey phone with a little keyboard.
Little keyboard on the
Yeah.
side. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's no iPhone, no Android. It's not a smartphone. It is the dumbest phone.
Yeah.
And I went through at least 10. If it touched water, it's broke. If it looks at water, it's broke.
Yeah.
So we're not talking some high quality material here. I had that phone through up to my junior year. So I mean, that's 3 freshman, sophomore. That's like 6-7 years. Because I mean, not that like my mom got me the phone.
Yeah.
And it's not like she probably could have bought me an iPhone right away.
Yeah.
And gave it to me and been like, here's your phone, enjoy it. But it's just not necessary, I guess. And I mean, when I got to my junior year, my mom bought me an iPhone, you know, graciously, and I'm still very careful with it. You know,
Are you?
So there have been a few incidents where it has gone rogue and almost been destroyed, but that's a story for another time. But I mean, I'm very like glad that she got me the phone, and I treat it like a child.
Yeah.
For the most, I mean, again, for the most part.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
there's
there's a few slip ups every now and then.
Yeah, exactly. And for the reason that I was brought up on that dumb phone, moved to the iPhone, I'm cautious with it. You know.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. I understand that, you know, I could have just a Nokia, just a flip-up phone.
Yeah.
No internet, no nothing. Plain and simple.
Nokias?
I have no clue.
I don't know if they still make
I have no
Nokias. Okay.
But I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I think the problem, there is a problem here.
Okay.
With today's youth, more youthful than me, is that, and I don't know if it's like a parent thing, but kids are getting phones younger and younger.
Okay.
Not even just like how my phone was just a flip phone.
Yeah.
Slide up phone. They're smartphones.
Yeah.
You know, they're nice. They're nicer than the phone I have.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have the newest phone, so I see people with the newest iPhone, and I'm like, I don't even have that. And they're like 5 years younger than me. I'm like, what is this? And I think it's a problem because, well, I guess I should say why at first. I think like it's happening younger and younger. I think it's like kind of a scapegoat. You know, your kid's sitting there and they're crying, and you're like, oh, I've tried everything. They won't go to sleep. They're hungry. I don't know. Something's wrong. Just give them my phone and they'll mess around on it. And I think that is where it starts. I think that's I think that's the problem, where the origin. Yeah. Is that people just give up on everything else and they're like, take my phone, play some games, do something, but yeah. And then so it kind of becomes like, it's like instantly what they do. Kids crying, boom, give me the phone. And you shouldn't you shouldn't just right away, like you should try like, oh, they're not hungry. Oh, try doing this, try doing that. Because then it's like a dependency. Yeah. You know, and I'm sure people would agree there's a lot of kids dependent on their phones. Yeah. You know, if their phone goes missing, it's the end of the world. And they're freaking out and they might as well just be dead. Yeah. And that's definitely not the case, but I just like people should teach. It doesn't teach your kid to be grateful, or like it doesn't teach children in general. I don't think they know like how lucky they are, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, and I mean, maybe that's just the times changing, you know?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like you said, I don't even know if they make Nokias anymore. Like, but it just, they're just ungrateful.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I'm not saying anybody's kids specifically are ungrateful.
Yeah.
But I think it's just an easy escape for a problem that needs more attention.
Okay.
Because then they don't care, and they're throwing around their iPhone 10, and they've gone through 3 of them already, and they broke their 4th one, and now they need another one. They need another one.
Yeah.
And they won't settle for the iPhone 7. No. They need the iPhone 10. And I think that's just... Because it seems like kind of like a parenting thing, but at the same time, if that's how they're being... I think it goes along the same thing as like children being spoiled, I guess. Okay. Or considered spoiled.
Yeah.
It just starts really young, and it snowballs out of control, I think. I'm not actually sure what your thoughts on this are. I just brought this up kind of a little bit before we started, so we didn't actually get a chance to even talk about this before. Mm-hmm. So what are your takes on anything along that lines? I mean, I don't know when you got your phone, and I have no clue.
Middle school as well.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Mine was a Razor.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I was the elitist.
That's pretty nice.
But it was one of those things where it wasn't my phone initially. It was my dad's phone because he had 2 phones. He had a work phone, strictly for work and business calls and all that stuff.
Right.
And then a personal phone. And then he gave me his personal phone because he's like, I don't need 2 phones anymore.
Right, yeah.
So like that's how I ended up with mine. I definitely see it nowadays as being like what you're saying, an scapegoat, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they're whining, they're complaining. Here, just take it. Mm-hmm. Take it. That's not the right way to do it.
Oh, no, yeah.
Because that definitely doesn't show or teach them any sort of like care or anything for that. Also, like replacing it right away. Like that doesn't teach them any sort of like you should respect it and you should care about it.
And I think not to interrupt. I think it also like when your kid asks for like the iPhone 10, you need to say no sometimes. I think that's another thing.
You need to know sometimes.
You need to lay down the law and say no. And you're going to let your kid freak out and they're going to get over it.
Yeah.
And they're going to move on and they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
I think that's another part of it. But anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, but here's the thing too. I do believe that with the rise of social media and everyone doing their own thing now, yes, we started with like slide phones, flip phones.
Right.
But that was because that's where we were at when we got ours. Mm-hmm. That's where phones were at when we got ours. Mm-hmm. And now phones have pretty much done away with slide and flip, and they are those touch screens. They are those smartphones are today's regular phones.
I guess
so. Yeah, you don't have to go out and get like the latest phone for a 12-year-old and be like, here. But also, realistically, they're not going to go out and try to find a slide or flip phone. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that there is a good balance that needs to be met. And once they form a responsibility with what they have, then as they get older and get into more things, because here's a good question that I'm going to have for you later.
Yeah.
I'll bring it up after this point.
Okay, yeah.
But they have to once learn respect for what they own, and then maybe, depending on what they're doing, extracurricular activities and stuff like that afterwards, then maybe you get them more of the higher end phone. It doesn't have to be the top,
Right.
but more of like the higher end phone.
Yeah.
Because with the way social media is now, everyone's on it, and if you're not on it, then you're lost is pretty much the premise of the way the world is today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my question for you, though, because obviously we both got ours during middle school, which tends to be when kids start to do their own thing or have extra stuff after school.
Yeah.
And go places. When do you think a kid should get a phone? Is middle school still that? Or later, earlier? I mean, just because obviously it's not the same as when we got ours.
Right, yeah. And I mean, people are gonna have their own opinions on that. But I would still, I mean, I never really thought about that phones have been changing, and I mean, I guess there really are no like flip phones or like slide phones, you know. I still think that middle school is I would say middle school is an okay time.
Like a starter?
Yeah. And to say you don't need to go and buy your kids some like dinosaur phone.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's okay to get your kid, like, to get them an iPhone or a smartphone in general. I'm throughout this, I'm going to say iPhone just because I've only ever had an iPhone.
Yeah.
I'm just generally speaking for smartphones in general, so if I keep saying iPhone, I apologize.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can get your kid a smartphone in middle school. Here's the thing. It doesn't need to have data.
Yeah.
Is what I've realized. Because they don't... I mean, I even think it's... like, they don't need it.
Yeah.
They don't need it. They're going to say they need it, I'm sure. But there's Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And you can be on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, you know. But if your purpose... You know, when I got my phone, the purpose was... I remember I was going to a middle school dance. Mm-hmm. And my mom said, here's a phone. Because originally mine wasn't my phone either.
Okay, yeah.
Call me when it's done. I'll come pick you up. That's a perfect reason to start someone on a phone. Like you said, if they're in an after-school activity, if they're in a club, and they need to be at practice, and I mean, it's hard. Like then, it's hard. I would imagine. I mean, I don't have kids, but I would imagine it's hard to keep track of your schedule. I mean, especially if you have multiple kids and their schedule for like activities and stuff. You know, it's kind of a godsend that we have phones in general.
Yeah. And
so it's nice that they can be like, hey, Mom, practice is over. You can come pick me up. Or, hey, it's going to be over at this time. They changed it.
Yeah.
So, not that there's anything wrong with getting your kid a phone. I'm just saying, like, it shouldn't be the best phone, like you said. You know, they need to learn responsibility and work their way up to it.
Yeah. And
I would still say middle school is a great time just for that reason. You know, dances, after school activities. Just if there is, you know, if there is, God forbid, something that happens, you know, and they need to like talk to their parents, you know. That's what the phone should be for.
Yeah.
I don't think that they should have data. They should be like on Twitter all day, especially if you're still in school, you know.
Yeah.
There's been there's people that'll say you should be allowed to have phones or you should be allowed to like be on your phone in school as long as you pass all your classes, and there's people that absolutely detest it and say it's a distraction and that it's hurting the kids, like they're just not going to learn anything. And so I just don't think that it should be like the best. They shouldn't have data. It should be strictly for not even emergencies, just to communicate with...
Communication. It should be for communication.
even strictly with parents. Like, like you can text, maybe even not have like minutes still. I don't even know if they like because I don't know, but times are they're like changing, and it's weird because I'm sure that when I was in middle school and I got a phone, my mom didn't have a phone. I mean, like, like the older people are always like, oh, we got through high school without phones. And so they probably are like, that's way too young to get their phone too. So, times change and things like this happen, where it's going to change and the commonplace thing is going to be different than when you were there. And I think that's just a part of, times changing. Right? So
Okay. So only get phones when they need it.
Only get phones when they need it. And even if they're not like in an after school activity, it kind of helps for them to be inclusive, to like say, oh, we should hang out this weekend. Just text me sometime. And then you're that kid that doesn't have a phone. You're like, sorry, I can't. And it just, I mean, middle school's a good time because that's when you're maturing. You're starting to like you said, go out more and just, like just things can happen. Yeah. And it's always good to just be prepared.
Yeah. I agree.
Perfect.
Great. Into topic 4.
Woohoo!
The final topic.
We made it.
How do you feel? We made it to the end.
I was nervous at the beginning.
Oh.
I felt great. Yeah.
Have I scared you off? Will you be
You
back?
have not scared me. I hope to be back.
Yeah.
Yes, I will be back.
Great.
I plan on being back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see.
might give me the boot.
Nah. You did a good job.
Thanks.
So, yeah, you'll be back.
Nice. I'm glad.
You'll be in the rotation.
Yes, I made the cut. Made the cut, Mom.
Sure did. Okay, well, that's it. That's the end of episode 8, your very first podcast episode. And of course, we remind them in the beginning of what they should do. What should they do again?
Like, comment, subscribe, share the video.
There you go. Are you going to do all of those?
I will do all of those. And you can hold me to it.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm going to comment, but I'm going to comment something. I'm going to comment.
Oh, okay.
I'll be there.
Okay. Well, as you heard, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. We will see you. I will. Maybe you will. Maybe we will see you.
Who knows?
Next week. Hope you've enjoyed the past hour conversation that we've had, and these topics are entertaining to you. And I guess until next time, we'll see you later.
See you later.
Bye.